Warm greetings from the high 10. It is Everyday Shenanigans, and thanks for joining me. The discussion of this live is of a mature and sensitive nature. If you're not of the appropriate age, 18 or over, it would be best that you not listen to this said content because it is of a very sensitive nature. Thank you all for joining me on this Sunday evening. I will be playing audio from a Christian broadcast. I'll also be bringing you a source to each information that I read to you, and feel free to go verify the said information. I'm going to start off this commentary with the griot. Gay black pastors reveal down low lifestyles on new Ayala Fix My Life. This was uploaded September 18, 2015, a couple years old, but nonetheless relevant to my conversation this evening. Two gay pastors who for years have been keeping their homosexuality secret, will reveal their down-low lifestyles to their families and congregations in an emotional 3-part series premiering on OWN's Iyanla Fix My Life, which kicks off on Saturday. But as for Iyanla Van Zant, she hopes to spark a larger conversation about the taboo topic of homosexuality in the Black church. My experience has been whenever this conversation comes up of homosexuality in the Black church, it's shut down, or the people who bring it up are attacked or shut down, she told thegrio.com during a recent interview. We're going to start the conversation. And Van Zant does just that by traveling to Louisville, Kentucky to meet Pastor Mitchell and Pastor Derek. OWN would not release their full names, citing the need to protect the privacy of the guests. Pastor Mitchell was married with 5 children and spent years preaching against homosexuality, but he was having affairs with men. This isn't anything I ever wanted to involve anybody else in, Mitchell helplessly wept to Van Zant. Nobody needs to deal with this. This is all my stuff. Van Zant fired back. The truth will set you free, she said to Mitchell as he wiped away tears. You think this is your business? This is God's business! ! Pastor Derek never thought his family, who openly showed hostility toward gay people, or his congregation would be accepting of his secret lifestyle. When I hear myself say I am a gay man, I feel hurt. It makes me feel substandard. It makes me feel petrified. I feel lonely, Derek told Iyanla. The loneliness I feel is no one will love me. Both pastors shared their struggles with Van Zant and discussed the pitfalls of leading double lives, as well as their battles with depression and thoughts of suicide and Fix My Life, which will air over a 3-week period. The reason for the 3 parts, Van Zant said, was to show the steps required for both the person coming out and the people they're coming out to. The pastor stories touched me because they have an opportunity to touch so many people's lives and people to go to church, particularly the Black church, seeking a level of solace and guidance and direction, said Van Zant, who is an ordained New Thought minister. And if these men aren't clean within themselves with God, there's no way that they can be guiding and supporting and directing people. After Pastor Derek's sermon, where he discussed his sexuality, Van Zant said they received about 20 letters from congregants, also revealing they were gay or struggling with dealing with their sexuality. When you stand courageously, you give people permission to do the same, Van Zant said. I don't know where we get the scripture and the understanding that gay people can't love the Lord or be accepted by the Lord. Benjamin Evans knows firsthand the struggle these pastors face. Evans, who is not part of the show, is also a minister, and last year revealed to his friends, family, and coworkers that he's gay, but it wasn't easy. As a freshman at Florida A&M University, he ran to the altar with hopes of being delivered from homosexuality, but he quickly realized that didn't work when he caught himself eyeing another man shortly after he said, for years, I lived blindly, believing that one day God would take this feeling away, the 30-year-old Miami minister told the Griot. I thought one day that if I prayed long enough, God would heal me from this ailment. But after years of praying, after years of fighting it, and I realized this wasn't going away, I had to have a conversation with God. Evans said he came close to marrying a woman like Pastor Mitchell did, but couldn't go through with it. I didn't want to be that guy. I've seen too much of it, he said, adding that stress and depression led him to break the news to his family in Philadelphia last Thanksgiving. I was worried about what people were going to say and if they would still love me, he said, recalling that some of his family celebrated his coming out. Still, the subject of homosexuality remains touchy in the Black church. It's a big taboo topic in the Black church, and that causes a lot of people to live closeted lifestyles. It's just not a healthy environment, said Evans, a managing director of BME Community, a national network of Black community leaders. I'm glad Iyanla is having this conversation. My hope is that it will promote greater tolerance and a love of people who are gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender. In addition to starting the conversation, Van Zandt hopes to provide resources for those who need help dealing with similar struggles. What I hope is to be in touch with a lot of ministers that I know and ask them would they be willing to support, talk to, coach, and counsel people so as to show areas that people can be in touch with somebody, she said. I have a host of coaches already lined up. Van Zandt hesitated to say this three-part series would be groundbreaking, but is looking forward to getting the conversation started. It's a conversation that needed to be had, otherwise we wouldn't be having it, she said. I don't know if it's going to break any ground, but I think it's going to open some eyes, and I'm grateful for that. Other Fix My Life episodes will include women who get dangerous butt injections, a grandmother who's raising her grandson, and her daughter, tough times of Olympic figure skater Debbie Thomas, who is now jobless and broke. And know that this is older content from several years ago. If you need verification for the said information, the griot is the source of this said information. So this was Ayala speaking to two men who are pastors coming out to reveal to their friends, congregation that they are homosexual. Their full names were not revealed as to protect the identities of the said parties. I'm going to play you audio from a Christian channel. I hope it won't be a problem because lately my content has had copyright claims from things I've played actually from the news. So I have to be very careful what I play. I really don't even know what I can and can't play because audio I played from news out of Memphis pertaining to Young Dolph has been copyrighted, and I've put in a dispute because I got it from the news. So I think what was mentioned in it, maybe the people don't want their names being talked about on YouTube, but that is the thing. Once it hits the news, to me, it's free game. We all are entitled to watch the news, and I haven't heard that you can't play news clips, to my knowledge. Anyway, the griot is my first source of information. Thank you so much for joining me. This is Everyday Shenanigans. If you would like to donate to the channel and the dream, please donate to $McAndrew 129 Cash App. All super chats are welcome during the live. I will now go over to my community page so I can play you the audio pertaining to this subject matter. Hello, thank you. Because I don't want to be seen today. That's why, dear. Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody. All righty. I'm going to see if I can pull up this set information. Oh, mercy. What a day. CBN is the source. This was uploaded 12 years ago. It's the reality of download living. CBN.com if you need verification for the said information. Thank you all for joining me.
Well, there's a great passionate concern and a grave concern I've had for the African American family. The truth be told, we're already struggling with so many social ills, even with the black man. 1 out of 4 unemployed, 7% of our babies are being born out of wedlock. Although we make up 6% of the population, we are almost 50% of the prison population. That's more than all of the colleges and the African American males in college. And so I call this download living a phenomenon within the epidemic of already social ills. And out of nowhere, we have issues and struggles with men who are closeted homosexuals who just happen to still be masculine men who are married and so on and so on. And so it really grabbed my heart to really address this issue. And so J.O. King wrote a book a while back on the download. It was a phenomenon. Oprah Winfrey and all of the major celebrities took hold of it and made it real popular. But he used the church as a backdrop, particularly the African American church. And the problem was we heard from every aspect of the community except for the church. So the book was really originally designed to be a classical refute to his book and hopefully bring some healing and encouragement to the epidemic of download living.
Now, what are we talking about? How big a problem, how widespread a problem is this issue of download living?
It's a huge problem. Right now, it is a guesstimate that over 1 million African American men in America are struggling with homosexuality and or the download. What makes it interesting in the black church is, unlike a lot of other societies and cultures, there's still this stigma that the African American male needs to be macho and masculine, so he can still be the deacon, the pastor, he can still be a real macho man, but struggles inside with homosexuality. And again, although we only make up 6% of the population, that's 13 million plus African American men, and 1 million. That's a little less than 10%. A little bit less than 10% is something that we have to go and address.
So you're telling me that there are ministers, pastors, deacons in the African American community who are struggling with this issue?
Yeah, there is. And again, that perpetuates the issue within the Black church. I read an article just recently in the New York Times, and it talks about why pastors particularly won't address the issue of homosexuality. Well, number one, first of all, there was no immediate threat in times past. But you and I know right now, 75% of all new HIV/AIDS cases are African American women. So why doesn't the church address that? Why doesn't the pastor address that? No immediate threat. And then number two, unfortunately, it's sad to say, there are a lot of pastors and leaders themselves that are struggling on the down low. Again, they've got to still pastor. They've got to still be the head trustee or the deacon or the leader in the church, but there's still an issue in their closeted homosexuality. And then thirdly, let's face it, in the Black church, a lot of the homosexuals, a lot of those who are on the down low, oftentimes are your ministers of music, sometimes your biggest givers, sometimes they cook in your kitchens in the church. And so, hey, let's not rock the boat. I need that tithe and offering. We need to keep the choir rolling. We need that head usher and deacon to keep an image. And so it's not dealt with.
Wow. For people who may not understand this down low terminology, where does the term come from? What does it mean? Down low. Why is it called down low?
Somewhere in the past, I think it was R. Kelly who wrote a song, I'm on the down low. I'm flying under the radar. And that is the particular problem. That is the particular problem in the Black church, is that you got a lot of men, again, masculine, macho, married men who are under the radar. Instead of coming out and about and we want to celebrate our homosexuality, these guys are saying, I'm still going to be married. I'm still going to keep a fiance. I'm still going to have this image, but I'm going to keep it down and low. I call that low down, but it's down and low. It is under the radar. And the problem is it perpetuates the hidden sins that unfortunately are affecting our African-American women. And then again, unfortunately affects the entire family unit.
But these men on the down low say that they are not homosexuals.
Right.
Talk about that issue.
You've got a third of African-American men who are actually on the down low. They consider themselves, although they sleep with other men, they still consider themselves heterosexual. That's the problem. They will not come out and acknowledge. They will not agree that they have issues, they have a sin, they have a problem. They want to consider themselves normal, and you need to accept. As a matter of fact, just recently in the Pew Forum and U.S. Population Poll 2007, 50% of America now believes that homosexual is fine and it should be accepted even in the church. That's a problem because, again, going back to the African-American community, a third of these men sleep with other men, but they consider themselves heterosexual. So what's the young African-American woman to do? What is that new fiance, that girlfriend, that young bride who can't wait to enjoy her new marriage? Well, she doesn't realize that this guy who she thinks is heterosexual, well, he thinks he's heterosexual, but he happens to sleep with other men. That's a tough thing, Miss Charlie. When you look at the fact that 90% of these same men have no idea that they're carrying the virus HIV/AIDS. And this is according to the Center of Disease Control.
What's propelling this? What's fueling this epidemic, this down low living? Is it the root issue? Is it lust? What is this?
Great question, first of all. At the end of the day, the Bible says that the enemy, the devil, is the author of our confusion. And these men are confused. You can go back to a biological argument. You can go back to the old nature versus nurture argument. You can go back and say, I was born this way. And that is a great debate. And in my book, Straight Up, we deal with some of the factual information that comes from well-respected researchers, well-respected scientists that go back to deal with this influence. At the end of the day, unfortunately, it is what it is. This is an influence that comes straight from the pit of hell. This is a demonic influence that wants that man to say, you know what, why don't I create a new gay theology? It requires no holiness. There is no guarantee of hell. And unfortunately, most churches aren't equipped to answer and deal with these issues that are plaguing our ministries.
How is it playing out, or how is it impacting African American women and African American families? What are the consequences?
That's the painful part. 75% of all new HIV/AIDS cases in America are African American women. Just south of here in Atlanta, Georgia, 85% in the city of Atlanta, all new HIV/AIDS cases are African American women. Now, this is not coming through IV use with drugs or paraphernalia, things of that nature. It's coming through the heterosexual relationship with another man, not through lesbianism, not through drug use, but through, again, the relationship with this unsuspecting man in her life. It's a powerful thing. As the man himself, right now, African-American men between the ages of 18 in 34. Right now, AIDS is the number one killer. Wow. Yeah. It is a tremendous epidemic. And again, I call that the epidemic within already a social ill of epidemics in the African American community.
Wow. Does the church have any anointing oil for this?
Bill Hybels, well-respected pastor, author, leader, he said this right at the ground zero of 9/11 in New York. The church is the hope of the world, and its success lies within the hands of capable leaders. I've coined that phrase, and I use it for this epidemic of down low living. The church has an answer. And I believe when I think about the African American church, we've been the bedrock, we've been the foundation of our community. Why leave the church now? Why make the church obsolete? Ignore or avoid the power, the presence, and the practice of the church. I believe the church has two things. Number one, we look at the Good Samaritan, Luke chapter 10. The Good Samaritan, and by the way, it wasn't the priest or the Levite, church leaders. It was that man or woman who sat among the pews. Let's call him or her the Good Samaritan. Two things that had going. Number one, when that man who fell among thieves, if you remember the story, and I know you do, he fell among thieves. He was left half dead. When I look at the man who's on the download, I look at a man who's half alive, but who's yet half dead. It was the Good Samaritan that gave him two things, oil and wine. The oil will always represent the anointing of God. I believe that spirit can't be dealt with without God's yoke-destroying, burden-removing, curse-canceling anointing. You've got to have that. Now, the argument that many of the homosexual community would make is, oh, you got to do more than lay hands. You got to do more than cast the devil out. I agree. He also had wine. Wine will always represent pastoral care. In my research and in my studying, and then when you read the book, you'll come to find out that it takes mentoring, modeling, and molding. When you look at a lot of the homosexual community, particularly those who've come out and have stayed clean and stayed healed, they've attributed that back to the fact that they saw a real man. They saw a masculine man who just happened to be a father or a husband, and it was that modeling, it was that molding. So there's a unique combination between the anointing and pastoral ministry, molding, mentoring, but you've got to have an anointing that breaks the yoke. The combination can bring healing and wholeness to any man who's struggling with homosexuality.
Now, you do mention in the book that the Black church culture must change.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Well, the culture is the silent influence of the church. My son and I were having a conversation just this morning about why it is such a tolerance, why there's such an acceptance, I should say, in the Black church for feminine men, for soft men. And we know that, obviously, as a reason, we know that it's not just a Black thing, but it seems to perpetuate faster in the Black church. Unfortunately, Hollywood has not done a good job portraying the Black church. We ourselves have not done a good job. So when you see the typical Black church on TV or in pop culture, you see a bunch of feminine men who are prancing and dancing and look right, just down feminine. And how might I explain that to my young 11-year-old son or my 13-year-old son? That, this young man who's in the choir stand, who's dancing and prancing, and he has his hair like a woman, and he has his eyebrows arched, and he really looks feminine. That's not the way Jesus created men. That's not the way God created men. So there's a culture in the Black church, unfortunately, that has been conducive for the perpetuation and the ongoing of feminine men, soft men, and that shouldn't be the icon aspect of men in America.
But is it fair to say that not every soft or feminine-looking man is on the down low or has homosexual tendencies? I mean, there's an argument.
Yeah. And I've always been one, Miss Charlene, in my own life. I've always been one to give the benefit of the doubt that this gentleman could have been raised in a very feminine home. He could have been raised by his mother, auntie, grandmother. Never really had a lot of male influence. Can he be quote unquote feminine and soft and not be homosexual? I think so. I think so. But at the same time, there's this very strong influence in the church that wants to create this expectation, this atmosphere and environment that there's nothing wrong with a woman being more like a man. Every man has a feminine side inside of him. I don't know if I agree with that. And again, yeah, it's a gray area, but my fear is that a little leaven, as the scriptures say, leaven the whole lump. These men can be susceptible. These men can be a target for praying men who are on the down low, who are homosexuals, to say, there's a target. There's someone I can pick off. That's the problem I'm going to have with that argument.
All right, everybody. That was CBN, the Christian Broadcast. If you want verification, please go into the YouTube queue for the said information. Thank you so much. That was my source number 2. I will now be reading you content from another avenue. 1 second, please. Thank you all so much for joining me. Ooh, got a lot going on. I'm sure there are a lot of questions pertaining to this said commentary. Thank you all so much for joining me. As most of you know, there were allegations made against the decedent pastor Eddie Long that he was fraternizing in a sexual manner with younger boys at his church. I'm going to read you that said information, and then I will drop the link. Please be respectful in your commentary to the host and the chat. Everyone will have their own opinion pertaining to homosexuality and the down low of men, Black men in general, or other men as well. But I want to make sure it doesn't get out of pocket, this discussion, okay? So I don't want any problems. Okay. I'm trying to make sure I pull everything up that can be of relevance to this story that I'm bringing. Thank you all for joining me. I'm going to go ahead and start with the Essence.com. For many of you who know about Essence, this is a African-American magazine that's been around for many moons, depicting African-American women in a very positive light, said information. It's a equivalent to like Glamour magazine, Cosmopolitan, and this is a magazine for African-American women. This is an article that was uploaded a little while ago. I'm going to bring you this information. This was January 18, 2017. I tried to bring the most recent of information, but lately I just didn't see anything in the queue pertaining to this subject matter. It's time to come to Jesus, literally, about how the Black church handles sexuality, the death of Bishop Eddie Long, and the reckoning of the Black church. If you need verification, Essence is the source. This was updated October 26, 2020. Bishop Eddie Long died this week after a reported battle with cancer. He was the pastor of Atlanta mega church New Birth Missionary Church, which boasted more than 25,000 members at its height. Long was one of the country's most vocal pastors against churches accepting gay members, even leading a march through the city with thousands affirming his beliefs and calling homosexuality a spiritual abortion. Of course, that all made for a headline-grabbing scandal in 2010 when 4 young men from the congregation accused him of coercing them into sexual activities, often on church trips. Instead of fighting back or leading another march, Bishop Eddie Long settled the case quietly. Single mothers and college students had faithfully given their 10% back to God, which were being spent to protect the purported predator and silence his accusers. I got my high school diploma where Bishop Long stood recently inside New Birth looking gaunt after rapid weight loss over the last year. The photos raised many eyebrows. He claimed a vegan diet through public opinion leaned toward illness. After his death, the press release from the church stated he had aggressive form of cancer. While we send condolences to his family, church community, and all impacted by his life and passing, we also have a responsibility to examine Long's legacy. His life sheds light on the enduring cracks in one of our most essential supports for the African-American community, the Black church. First, let's get this straight. The Black church isn't one huge congregation of sameness clapping tambourines. It's nuanced like us as people. There are the Baptists with the big hats, the Methodists offering a sprinkle for baptism, leaving you and your new hairdo saved, the Pentecostal who shake the walls with the Spirit, the Church of Christ members singing a cappella, and many more. Each denomination and church has its own values and structure, and they all have to be accountable for how we treat all of God's children. The enduring intolerance of our churches to those who are gay has to be addressed. The hypocrisy of people expressing God's love to have such strong disdain of any sinners expected to have sexual sins has long been problematic. Young women who become pregnant outside of marriage and gay men and women are at the top of the list of those often ostracized by institutions set up to be refuge for those who need it most. The hatred towards gay men and women, often from people who claim to be on God's team, leaves them more vulnerable to not having conversations on healthy sexuality. It also fuels the high rate of suicide among gay teens. The true abomination is to pick out one sin and demonize people in the name of God. We must follow God through our church leaders and hold them accountable for their actions. My cousin and I were among thousands of men and women who had put their faith and ties into Long, the charismatic turned predatory preacher, and were left with heartache over a man claiming to be a shepherd of God's people. I feel fortunate to attend First Corinthian Baptist Church in Harlem, a black church that is inclusive of all God's children. I know that it's sadly not the norm. At Bible study a few years ago, someone asked our pastor, Michael Warren, about where the church stands on homosexuality. I held my breath waiting for the answer. Pastor Mike said we have been called to be like Christ as Christians, and nowhere in the Bible does Jesus say anything about homosexuality. And I will say, my pastor also said the same thing. He reminded us Jesus does say, love our neighbors as we love ourselves and to seek first the kingdom of heaven. Those of us who love God cannot stay silent when his name is used to vilify his children. Love starts with accepting each other and protecting each other from harm. Our faith as a people got us through the atrocities of enslavement and disenfranchisement, and our faith has to be big enough to include all of us. Sharia K. Jackson is the lifestyle and relationships editor of Essence and the creator of BossBride.com. That is the sad information. It's a very simple commentary. I'm going to play a video they have in here, and this is pertaining to Mr. Bishop Long, who is no longer living. Thank you all for joining me. Let's see what I can get out of here. Hold on one second.
Now, it seems Bishop Eddie Long is causing as much controversy in his death as he did in his life. The longtime pastor of Atlanta's New Birth Missionary Baptist Church died Sunday from cancer. But now, many of his critics are asking that the allegations of sexual misconduct he faced in 2010 also be remembered. Amanda Ray wrote on Facebook, "So y'all saying RIP to a pedophile, but nothing to the kids he molested? You guys are sick." To which Dawn Gadley responded, "No one hasn't forgotten about the children, but at what point do we become so high and mighty that we can judge anyone? If you feel that compelled, reach out to those children who damaged and offer some help instead of being so angry about it."
Okay, that was a short commentary from Essence.com. Thank you all so much for joining me. Hello, Michelle. How are you? Okay. That is my source number 3 pertaining to this subject matter. The first source I brought to you was by The Griot. The second source was by CBN.com via YouTube. The third source was Essence.com. My fourth source, before I drop the link, will be AJC. This is the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Thank you so very much for joining me. Bishop Eddie Long accusers penning book detailing sex abuse. This was uploaded July 19, 2018. It's been 7 years since 4 young men went public with accusations that their mentor, Bishop Eddie Long, used his position, wealth, and fame to coerce them into sexual relationships. Sorry about that. Now, 18 months after the controversial pastor's death from an aggressive form of cancer, the alleged victim's story will finally be told with a twist. Spencer LeGrand told the Atlanta Journal-Constitution that he is collaborating along with some of Long's other accusers from a 2010 lawsuit on a novel. The Roman Clef, Forsaken, centers around a scandal involving the charismatic preacher of a thriving megachurch. While technically a work of fiction, LeGrand said there should be no doubt the sordid tale of power and betrayal is one they experienced firsthand. The last man standing is the strongest, said LeGrand, now 30 and living in Charlotte. LeGrand, along with former New Birth Missionary Baptist Church members Maurice Robinson, Anthony Flagg, and Jamal Parrish, shared similar accounts about their relationship with Long, who they allege filled a void left by absent or abusive fathers. An undisclosed financial settlement reached in 2011 after a fifth accuser, Centino Kemp, came forward, prevents them from discussing Long or New Birth. That's very pivotal. And why is that? Obviously, they signed a clause not to speak once they signed and accepted the money. 2010 civil lawsuit claimed Long used monetary funds from the accounts of New Birth and other corporate and nonprofit corporate accounts to entice the young men with cars, clothes, jewelry, and electronics. Each alleged that once they reached the age of consent, Long coerced them into sexual relationships. Though he agreed to pay for their silence, Long continued to deny their allegations. But the damage was done to his legacy, in the Stonecrest Church that once counted more than 25,000 members. Attendance steadily declined in the years since. Long, who in his heyday wielded global influence as one of the more prominent proponents of the prosperity gospel, remained New Birth's pastor until his death in January 2017 at the age of 63. His successor, Bishop Stephen A. Davis of New Birth, Birmingham, recently resigned, and a nationwide search is being conducted to find a new senior pastor. And note that this is older content. In one of his last interviews, Long told comedian Steve Harvey that the settlement prevented him from discussing any aspects of the case brought against him. Asked by Harvey, "Did you ever have sexual relations with any of your accusers?" Long stood firm. "I'm bound by court that I can't make any statements about that," he said in the 2016 interview. The longtime pastor also skirted the allegations in his final book, The Untold Story, The Story of Adversity, Pain, and Resilience. LeGrand said he was determined that Long's book wasn't going to be the last word on the most devastating chapter of his young life. He, along with other accusers, Sans Kemp, recently filed a petition to vacate the arbitration award in DeKalb County. That filing remains sealed. "We weren't trying to get out of the agreement as much as we wanted to find out what we could and could not say," LeGrand said. Long wrote a book. "We wanted to see if we could write one too." In a 2011 interview with the Atlanta Journal-Constitution in 2011, LeGrand recounted his first meeting with the bishop following a sermon on the importance of fathers. "When I started crawling, that was the day my father left," LeGrand said. "A lot of years I didn't even see him." Long told the 15-year-old, "I got you. I will be your dad," LeGrand recalled. By the following year, he was accompanying his pastor on trips to Kenya and Johannesburg, where he dined with Winnie Mandela. The following year, when they returned to Kenya, LeGrand said he and Long shared a room. Soon, they'd be sharing a bed. Wow. LeGrand felt indebted to Long, who he said would use Bible verses to rationalize the intimacy. Wow. With Long exerting more control over his life, encouraging him to move to Atlanta and study for the ministry, LeGrand finally ended their relationship. Interest in Long, his alleged victims, and the church they left behind remains high. LeGrand expects Forsaken will reach a large audience. But Thomas W. Dortch Jr., chairman of the board at New Birth, warned the former members he will not stand for any violation of the settlement agreement. "If they cross the line, then they'll answer for it," Dortch said. "If they violate the agreement or if at this point try to embarrass Bishop Long's family, there will be consequences. We'll take whatever action is necessary within the law." Forsaken will be completed and available before year's end, LeGrand said. They expect to settle on a publisher shortly. The author of this said information is Christian Boone, and I believe Sheila M. Poole. AJC. Let me address this said information in here. One thing about settling out of court. When you settle out of court, to most people will assume that you are guilty. Let's just keep that on the table and keep it realistic. Because if you are adamant that you are not guilty, you have not done the things that you are being accused of, then why in God's name would you give your hard-earned money to people accusing you of said allegations? That's first and foremost. Two, the young men said he bought them things, jewelry, this and that. So then that means you were spending the church's money. Mr. Long was spending the church's money to wine and dine and buy gifts for the said boys at the time, which is irreprehensible. Okay? He does an interview with Steve Harvey. He can't talk about it. So one would say, then why even go do the interview? You know that he would ask you, did you do it? You can't speak on it. The people who signed their agreement can't speak on it allegedly. Naturally, we know people do tend to break the oath from their settlements, and they begin to talk and tell what allegedly happened in the scenario many years later. Now, can they be fined, have to pay the money back by breaching the contract of opening their mouth? Possibly so. Depends on if there's going to be somebody to fight the cause and take them to court. Then we have the church saying, don't say anything. Don't embarrass the church. Don't embarrass Mr. Long's family members. bringing the subject matter up. But that is another point. You can't stop people from talking. If it wasn't those men talking, breaching the contract agreement, a random person such as myself is talking about it now. You can't stop people from talking about a said situation. I do not know what happened with those said men, young men, or whomever, boys underage with Mr. Long, but where I find guilt is that Mr. Long settled out of court. I would have never settled out of court. If I know in my heart, and I don't even have to say heart because you know yourself, I know I did not have sexual relations with them, I have no reason to pay them a damn dime. And that's just the coin, and that's just common sense. And one thing I always say in my commentary, stay woke. Make it make sense. If you are innocent, you have no logical reason to pay anyone a damn dime. Period. So I feel like perhaps he had relations with these said boys, men, or whatever, because he paid a settlement to each one. And they signed a contract not to speak. Another thing that's baffling is that you're going to wrote a book about it, but then it says it's a work of fiction. Well, people are still going to assume it is about Mr. Eddie Long. You've accused this man of touching you, doing inappropriate things with you. So why would I think that it's fiction? You only say it's fiction because you know there's hoopla with saying this is a true story. And you signed, once again, the agreement to be quiet and take the settlement. So you write a book saying it's fiction to counter the allegations of taking what I say, a bribe to be quiet. Why be quiet? Why take the money if you want justice? Know that these said men, boys, nothing ever came to fruition as far as jail time arrest for Mr. Eddie Long, who is no longer living. Yes, something happened. Of course it did. You're entitled to your opinion if you believe that men of the cloth, women of the cloth should be living on the down low, but I do not agree with anyone being a pastor, bishop, whatever word you like to use, preacher, living on the down low, having sexual relations with a man, child, whomever, homosexual act with a man, and you are standing in the pulpit. And as my pastor once said, there is no mentioning of homosexuality in the Bible as far as, thou shalt not, blah, blah, blah. But one thing he made clear in his commentary, what I will not stand for is a gay man in my pulpit. That was his commentary. You want to come to church and you are gay, you are welcome. You want to sing in the choir, you are gay, you are welcome. Want to play the banjo, piano, you are welcome. But he will not tolerate you standing in the pulpit, delivering the word, because naturally he has to preach from the Bible. And if I'm to believe the Bible, it has been mentioned about homosexuality in the Bible. Men laying with men. That has been spoken of. Not mentioned often, but it has been mentioned in the Bible. Okay, Dee, really, Dee? Some of them were children, if I'm not mistaken. Y'all stop this now. I haven't even got started yet. That's another thing. There will be people who will say what Dee has said. They did it for the money. Well, we've heard that with women when they're sleeping with a heterosexual man, allegedly. She did it for the money. They did it for the money. He's famous. If a person did it for a long time, make me understand that it was for the money. Because I wasn't there and I don't know what Bishop Long gave anybody behind closed doors. So I don't know what all he gave to the boys' men. Nonetheless, it is a sad, sick storyline. A man building a church to an astronomical congregation, to have allegations of sleeping with boys, men, it's all the same. Children, you know it's wrong to sleep with a child, whether it's a boy or a girl. It's rape of a child. And obviously, they didn't have fathers because you wouldn't be saying that about an adult. So that means we're talking about children. So how can we say a child slept with a man for money? Come on now. Why would you want to preach knowing you are gay, knowing you have feelings for men? And I'm sure there are many men in general, black men, who are gay, bisexual. They know this, but they refuse to come out of the closet. We live in a modern time. There is actually no reason for anyone to be in the closet as a closeted homosexual or bisexual. Most people are living their truth, be it coming out openly gay and or bisexual and or transgender. So there's really no reason to be still walking around hiding, pretending you don't like men, don't like women. It's, to me, a waste of time. How is it right to be preaching from the pulpit knowing you desire men or sleeping with men, and yet you're preaching from the Bible? Is it right or is it wrong for a man to hide his homosexuality and he is a pastor? Do you condone gay pastors or clergymen in the church in or out of the closet? Once the preacher has been proven messing around, philandering with men, should he be removed from the church? The issue of AIDS in the Black community, it is prevalent, it is real. More cases of AIDS with women, indeed, here in the South. Why is that? Why is it that there are more people in the South, African American, contracting the HIV virus and the AIDS virus? Why do we have more people here in the South of African descent, HIV positive, and having full-blown AIDS? It is done, it has been said in the Midwest was less cases of HIV AIDS. The study was done and revealed on ABC show The View many years ago. So what are we saying? That we are more frisky in the South. The men cannot be monogamous in the South. People had more sustainable relationships in the Midwest. Why is that? Do I agree to somewhat? Yes, because I notice here in this area where I live, there's a shortage of Black people. So therefore, there's going to be a shortage of men. Then that means if I only prefer to date a Black man, I and other Black women, there is going to be a problem as far as sharing a Black man. Then you counter in the fact that the Black man does not want to wear a condom, and or the woman doesn't demand he wear a condom. Now you have a problem of catching venereal diseases and HIV AIDS sharing a man. And we already know that's going to be a problem in the South because we have smaller venues here of no Black people. So the people that are Black are sharing one another. It is prevalent of HIV AIDS in the South with Black people. That is not a secret. Is monogamy dead? Thank you, Gulf Coast. Is monogamy dead? I can speak as a 50-year-old Black woman that it is very hard to sustain a courtship with the African American man. Once again, we don't have many Black people in this demographic of East Tennessee. So if I am choosing to date a Black man only and or other Black women wanting to date a Black man, it's neither here nor there. Your options are few to damn near zero. You 9 times out of 10 will be sharing a Black man here in this demographic. Now you count in the fact that the man likes men. Come on with it, Queen. Keep it real. Now you have another problem. You're sharing a man with another woman, and now you're sharing a damn Black man with another damn Black man. What in the hell is going on? So besides you arguing and bickering because he's sleeping with Susie, he's now sleeping with Dick Pookie. I say that's a problem. And in no way will the Queen ever argue over another man. I'm not going to argue with you about another woman. In no way in hell will I argue with you about another man. If and so the Queen finds out that she's been slumbering with a man that sleeps with a man, he best to hope like hell he is far removed from this jurisdiction, because he won't wake up. He won't wake up. Why hide when you can be your true, authentic self, whomever that is? Why pretend to be something that you're not? To use the cloth is heinous, because you cannot lead me to the water when you are tainted. Come on with it, Queen. You can't tell me how to be and how to be a Christian and how I should act and behave when you yourself is tainted and you are slumbering with a man and you are of the cloth. And it doesn't matter if you are married, not married, dating, have kids. It doesn't matter. You're in the pulpit. You ought to act as if you are working for the Lord. And you can't be working for the Lord sleeping with a man. And I don't care if it's mentioned in the Bible once. It's been mentioned. That's enough for me. The scripture tells us that he chose a mate for the man, and he made her a she from Adam's rib. And that's what he wanted for Adam. And he called her Eve. So the rest is self-explanatory. You lie to yourself when you do not acknowledge that you like men, Pastor. You are lying to your spouse if you are married, your children, your congregation, your friends and family, and the community. Why live the lie when you can be your true, authentic self? Then we have the issue, as I said, of venereal diseases and HIV and AIDS. So you know that you can contract a disease or HIV by having sexual intercourse with a man without protection. And you would go out here and risk spreading germs and diseases with your spouse, woman, knowing you've been sleeping with a man. And you have no regard for yourself or the other participants who are sleeping with you. The trust is broken when you are lying in a homosexual man of the cloth. That's common sense. Why lie? This man who was speaking in this audio I played in the earlier part of this live from the Christian Network, Broadcast Network, he basically was asked, do you think feminine men can be straight? And he said, yes. Some men are raised around dominant figures, women households, so they may tend to be feminine, but they are not gay. And it is natural for people to assume a feminine guy is homosexual. But there are men who are docile in behavior, mild-mannered, soft-spoken, and they desire women, and they are not gay, and nor are they bisexual. And he let that be known that, of course, there are some men who are feminine, but they are not gay. And in the end, who's going to tell you that they are actually gay or bisexual? This is a very sensitive topic. And it is prevalent in the church. We've seen in the Black church, men who are choir directors, men who play the piano, the tambourine, on and on and on. And a lot of those men were assumed feminine and or gay. And who are we to ask them if they are? But nonetheless, most Black people do not want a gay pastor. That's just the way it is. Other religions have gay pastors, openly gay pastors. I've heard of openly gay pastors in the Catholic Church, but it ain't going down with the Black folks in the Baptist Church. I can tell you that now. It is not going to wash. Should a Black man of the cloth hide who he is or come out and tell the world he is gay and remove himself from the cloth and the church and live his true, authentic self as a gay or bisexual man? That is the subject matter for tonight's live. Thank you for joining me. If you want to donate to the channel, $BigAngie129 Cash App. Also, chat to welcome to the live. I'm going to drop the link. Please be respectful in your commentary. Thank you. Mercy me. And yes, we do know of priests who are gay. That has been a staple for many moons before we started talking about Black pastors being gay, bisexual. We have always heard of gay priests sleeping with boys and men. That has been a staple in the Catholic Church. I grew up Catholic in Chicago. I attended private school on the south side of Chicago. And of course, naturally, as a child, I never heard of a priest being gay. I didn't know anything about gay or anything like that. But as I became an adult and watched, TV, true crime, I started hearing stories of the priests molesting children, allegations of them molesting children, the church moving them from one church to the next to try to throw away the sins of the priests. But in the end, you can't throw away the sins of the priest because he is gay. He prefers men and boys. And there's no hiding that. You can move him around 1,000 times. The allegations are going to keep coming because he has a problem. He has a fetish for kids, boys. Some even like little girls. Some even intertwine with both boys and girls. Nonetheless, he is sick. That's the bottom line. And I don't want a pastor, rabbi, priest who takes up with men or children. That is my personal belief. Because as I said, you cannot lead me to the water when you yourself are tainted. And that's my personal opinion. Thank you for joining me. Hope you all are well out there. Had a good, safe weekend. Thank you all so much for following the content. God bless all of you. Thank you. Feel free to hit the link when it's dropped to give your commentary on the said matter. Please be respectful because it is a very delicate subject matter. Thank you so much. And then you also have people who will still uphold the pastor knowing that he is gay and they don't have a problem with it. And that to me is a problem because I don't understand how you feel like that is going to work, having a gay pastor. If you're to believe the scripture and believe what he's telling you of the scripture, it's not going to work. No different than a pastor fornicating and sleeping with different women, bedding different women. It's all the same. As they said, a sin's a sin. Hit the link if you want to give your opinion. Thank you so much for joining me. I have 68 viewing. Thank you so kindly. Thank you, Gulf Coast. Thank you. Love you too, baby. Gulf Coast, I haven't heard from you in so long. Please hit the link. I've not heard from you, dear. That's okay, who done it. This is a part of my content that I had on my channel way before all this other true crime. Most of you only know of me for talking about true crime. That's not how I built my channel. I built my channel talking about various situations in the media, breaking news, and also hypothetical situations, also issues that have affected us as citizens in this country. And I have not done a hypothetical and or a subject like this in many months since spring. And I'd like to go back to my original content of talking about various subject matters. And this is one of the subjects I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about preachers on the down low. I wanted to talk about the African American church and how we uphold a multitude of sins by our pastors, not just homosexuality, but other things, nasty attitudes, sleeping around with different women. It's all the same. The next live out, go there. Pastors who can't keep their wee-wee in their pants. They've got to sleep with different women. I do know of one story of a dirty pastor. He's no longer living. He openly walked around the town with another woman from the small town. She was younger than him. He was old enough to be her father. They were seen in public places, dining during the daytime, as was told to me by someone who worked in the restaurant where he would frequent with this young lady. This person had no reason to lie about seeing the pastor in this restaurant because this person didn't even go to church, but they knew the pastor. We all know the pastors in the town, even without knowing or going to, as far as, going to the church, but we knew of them. So this person had no reason to make up a lie that this pastor was coming in the restaurant every day with the same person dining. And naturally, a pastor has the right to dine with whomever he chooses because you don't know what's going on to make an assertion that it's some hanky-panky. But after a while, when it's day for day, one will start to talk, and that's what people do. They talk. And then once they see your car parked up their house, behind the house, one's going to say, why are you parking at this person's house this day, this time, every day? And you're also dining with them in public places. Pastor, what the hell are you doing? And are you this enthused with this young girl that you would openly see her in a public place and go to her house and park your car, knowing neighbors would see your car parked at her house or behind her house? You tried to conceal your automobile allegedly? Pastor, this is a very small town. People have eyes. We didn't need no hills where we stayed. We could see your damn car, is what the people were saying, the pilgrims. But he obviously didn't care. And a few years ago, the pastor took a nasty fall and died, fell to his death, either by broken neck or heart attack. Take your pick. The point is, why did you continuously see this woman as if you were not a pastor? It is one thing to be a married man sleeping around openly with a woman or women, but to be of the cloth and walking around with a woman in town, going to her house, you had no regard for yourself, your family, the church, or her. And she didn't care about herself either. And that is a true American tale right here in East Tennessee. Thank you. Hit the link if you want to give your opinion pertaining to the information that I'm bringing to you. Hello, Tisa. Thank you for joining me. Thank you so much. Gulf Coast, hit the link, please, dear. Come on now. Hit the link, baby. Hit the link, you guys. 64 viewing. Come on. I cannot talk about the same subject matter every day. I have to talk about other subject matters. That is the purpose of me bringing you the content, reading you the information, finding the information. Oh, well. If anyone has any experience with a gay pastor, please hit the link. I'm all ears. Thank you, Sosa Power. Patty, it's not hard. All you do is hit the link, sweetheart, with your cell phone. Just hit the link with your finger, and the rest will guide you through. Everything's touch screen. It's not rocket science. All you do is touch the link with your finger. It will guide you up. By now, you all should know how to hit the link. Come on now. It's not hard. The way you got into YouTube is the same way you hit the link. You touched your screen with your finger. It is the same thing. $60 viewing. Thank you all. They just want to chat in the chat. Well, that's my commentary for this evening. As I said, those accusations against Mr. Long were settled out of court. He was never brought forth by an indictment from a court. These people signed disclosures to not speak of the said incidents and took a payment. A book was written. I've never read the book. I may venture off and get a hold of the book to see what was said in the said book. Allegedly, it's fiction, but we know 9 times out of 10, most of it is not. But that's what they have to say because they've signed a clause not to ever speak of the allegations with Mr. Eddie Long, Bishop Eddie Long. Hello.
Hello.
How are you, dear?
I'll bite.
I've never seen anything like it. I'm serious.
I'll be got everybody scared.
Long as it's about them folks in Hollerville, everybody got something to say. You want to hit the link? You can't talk about anything else. That bullshit.
I know. Well, you've introduced a couple of let me just say courageous subjects this evening.
Thank you.
I got to admire you for that. I do. I truly do.
Thank you.
Leadership.
Hmm.
That's really
Connect your devices, Patty.
Is she coming up?
She's up, but she don't have the devices connected.
Oh, okay.
Just hit your microphone and everything. I don't know how when they come up there, it's weird to me.
The last 2 times I've come up, I've used my phone, and I just have.
Yeah, I think it's best to use your phone. Don't use your computer, because it seems like using the computer causes problems.
It does. It does. Had a lot of feedback stuff
Yes,
on it. No matter what I did, I couldn't get rid of it.
Right.
But anyway, the phone
Go
is
ahead.
a lot.
What do you think about? Let's just start with Eddie Long. The allegations against him many moons ago. What do you think of the allegations? Do you believe the allegations? Go from there.
Refresh me, because I did come in late. I know who you're talking about.
He was a black pastor. He was accused of 4 young men came forward saying that he had been having sexual relations with them, brought them gifts, this and that. They took a payment out, not to ever talk about it. Book was written allegedly. He adamantly denied it, but
well, I hate to hear that. I used to watch him a lot, and I really liked him. But when more than 1, 2, or 3, 4 come forward and say something, it's certainly worth looking into.
Yes, it is.
But
and I wonder what happened with that. Why did law enforcement not care? Did they care? Was he investigated for messing with these children? Because they said, naturally they were going to the church. So one would say they're not adults. If you talk about field trips are for children, so they weren't adults.
Right. Yeah.
So somebody in the comment section says they did it for the money. They were children. So you want me to say that all 4 children got together and said, "Hey, let's make up something on Eddie Long, and he touched us, had sex with us, took you to a foreign country, brought you back. We're sleeping in the same room." Mm-hmm. There's no way I'm going to sit here and think in my right mind that's made up.
I agree. We're being conditioned against believing witnesses who come forward.
Exactly.
And
that it's always about the money.
Right. That's always the first thought. Oh, they're trying to make some money off somebody that's got some. Okay, maybe they are, but then again, let's look at the flip side. Maybe they're not.
Not children. I'm not going to sit here and say not children. Yeah, you can say that for an adult, but not a child.
Right, unless parents back there pushing somewhere. But
that could be. But like you said, more than one.
Yeah, it just goes beyond.
Basically, you're going to make your child lie and say that he touched you.
Right. I think. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I actually was not aware, because I really used to love.
I watched it periodically. Sometimes I turn on that little Christian channel, and I watch the different pastors. The white lady, you know who I'm talking about.
You're not talking about Tammy Faye Baker.
No. The white lady with short hair.
Short hair. White lady. Oh, Joyce Meyer.
Joyce, yes, and Joyce.
I listened to her too.
She's pretty stern, but she said, and her personality, I wouldn't consider myself as stern as Joyce, but she basically said at one time she was a very bitter person, and when you listen to her tone, you could see that she said that. I was the type, I woke up, I didn't want to talk, I don't want you looking at me, don't speak. But then there was internally something wrong with her.
Yes.
Especially if you're living in a house and you have a spouse and you're like, hell, don't look at me. Don't talk to me.
Don't even think about it.
You really got something going on.
Well, I think it's, I read about Billy Graham. I don't know if this is true. I suspect it is. Okay. He would never, ever meet a woman in his office alone, ever. Mm-hmm. Because to do everything above reproach and beyond the possibility.
Well, he was smart.
Yes, he was.
That's a very smart man, because he's probably heard the stories as an older person or his years into the ministry. He knows how quick something can be misconstrued.
Right.
He said something. He touched me. Could be a lie.
Yeah.
And so I don't have to be in that situation. If I got witnesses in here, they escort you out of here. There's no talking to me alone. And we do know that there's a time when you want to talk to the pastor. You don't want the door open naturally. But once that door is shut, all bets are off of what took place in that room.
That's exactly right. And so that was wise on his part. I suspect somebody gave him some very wise counsel early
Yes,
on,
they did.
because
Yes, they
that
did.
was his rule from day one.
Yes, yes.
So leadership requires a higher calling. It is a higher calling, and it requires a higher uh, standard for
Yes,
behavior.
yes,
And and in a way, because look, I know preachers and priests and these people are not perfect. They're
yes.
ministers to
Yeah.
people.
Well, God told
They
you not to put your faith in man because he will
right.
surely disappoint you.
Yes, he will, and he does frequently. Um,
Yes.
I, I can share some
Often,
of your
look,
sentiments
look,
from your.
often,
I know.
often. Come on now.
Hello,
Hello.
singing your song.
Amen.
But so anyone who's a minister, a pastor, a priest, a rabbi, anyone, especially in spiritual leadership,
Yes, yes,
you
yes,
are
yes,
guiding people's
yes,
spiritual
yes,
journey.
yes,
So it's incumbent upon you to absolutely present your true best self. Now,
yes,
if you want to say, I'm a priest and I'm gay, you do that openly, and you let other people decide if they want to continue to have you as their leader, their spiritual advisor, whatever. But I'm with you. Come out, come out from among them and state who you are. Um, that's between you and your God. But you got to let people have the right to choose what they know now
mm-hmm,
that you've said it. But if you're living two lives and we find out about it,
mm-hmm.
you've hurt a lot of people who placed a lot of faith in you. And I'm not
Exactly.
talking about just being gay. I'm talking about if you're having affairs, if you're
It's all the
doing,
same.
right. It's all absolutely the
And I
same.
found that baffling with this certain pastor who, like I said, is no longer living.
Mm-hmm.
His church members knew what he was doing. They knew of the
Mm-hmm.
rumors. They knew of
Yep.
the young lady. And I just cannot understand in my right mind how you could continuously go sit up in that church and patronize church, tithe in that church, knowing
Yeah.
he was openly seeing this young lady.
Mm,
I,
yeah.
I'm not going into church knowing that you were seeing somebody in the community. I'm not getting ready to do it. And if I got wind that she lived in Toledo, Ohio, it's all gonna be the same. But that's why
Right.
it was easy to pinpoint it, because she lived right in the community with everybody.
Right. Yeah, that can be. Whew,
That
I
lets
don't
you
even
know he didn't care
understand
nothing
it.
about nothing.
There's
I
some
can go
kind of.
even deeper. Look, I can go even deeper with that story if you want me to.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'll give you a shove.
Okay. Okay. So rumor one, he's sleeping with the young girl. It was told to me back in 2009 by somebody close to this certain person that the pastor had invited another pastor from out of town to come speak, blah, blah, blah. So that pastor took up with the female in the church as well. They began an affair. They would talk woo woo over the phone. This pastor was married. It was said that eventually the pastor came to visit one time, and his wife came asking for this said female who she thought was a sister something. So when she asked someone about the woman, somebody said, "Oh, you're asking about sister such and such. Oh, she's at the other church." So the lady must have been confused. So so obviously she got the woman's last name because she didn't look at her telephone bill. Come on, bring it to you.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
That'll tell a story
So
every
the
time.
woman's last name was similar to another pastor's last name. So this woman got thrown off once they said, "Oh, that's sister such and such of pastor such and such wife." So now she's probably thinking, "Wait a minute, my husband's sleeping with a pastor's wife?" It wasn't that she was sleeping with he was sleeping with a pastor's wife. He's sleeping with somebody in the congregation with the same name of a community pastor's name. Are you following me? Oh, she fell off. Lord, just when it was getting good. I got 67 viewing. Come on, Queen, bring it to him. Lord have mercy. Don't tell me the devil ain't busy. Woo, what somebody said there's a leak in this whole building. I'm dead. Oh, mercy. Well, we'll wait and see if whodunit can make her way back up here. Thank you all for watching the content and listening. Amen. But this is a problem, I'm sure, in many churches, communities, situations, scenarios, Black men on the down low in general. But this subject matters of Black pastors. Is it right for Black pastor to be desiring another man and working the cloth and also working on a man, sleeping with a man, bedding a man? Hell to the no, it ain't. See, you fell all the way off.
I did. I fell right off. I was
What on your Wi-Fi? Is your Wi-Fi acting up?
I was going to give you a shove, and I fell off. Yeah. Okay, I got the part that you were explaining about the pastor's wife and this woman in the church had the same name,
same last name as another pastor.
Yeah.
So the wife probably assumed it was a pastor's wife that her husband had been messing with, but it wasn't. It was a woman in the church had the same last name as a neighboring pastor.
Okay.
So obviously she put two and two together and realized, okay, it's not another pastor's wife. It's somebody in the church.
Right. Somebody she's sitting beside in church.
But that's what's so sick. And I look at this person over the past couple of years, and I looked at her and thought to myself, how could you be in the church sleeping with the visiting pastor?
Right.
You're singing in the choir, and you were sleeping with this man knowing he's a visiting pastor and he's married. And like I said, we all can sin and fornicate, but damn, you got to know when and where to do things. You just wide open, didn't give a damn. And obviously, people have probably talked about that as well. She up here taking up with the visiting pastor. Do you know how jacked up that is to say?
It is. That's very jacked up. And what I see in people is if there's a way to do something really messed up, people will find that way to do it and be able to rationalize it and justify it in some way.
Yeah.
And that's a human problem. That's a problem we all have. We have to be careful not to.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying about this church.
Yeah.
This Black church. You all know your pastor was dirty, sleeping with that girl. Ain't no telling what else he's been doing. And I never took to him as a friendly pastor. I remember times I would see him out in the stores. He wouldn't even speak many moons ago.
Mm-hmm.
And one day you wake up, you're in the store, but I was in Walmart and he spoke. I was stunned because I was like, oh, you're speaking now?
Yeah.
So then, you're thinking to yourself, you're the same MF that's walking around here in your church members of pants.
Right.
And you don't even speak. It was just baffling to me. So I thought, well, maybe he decided he just wanted to come on out. Now I'm happy. I'm gay. I'm glad to be speaking to people. And I'm also sleeping with the folks in the church. I'm just like, man, this man is something else. But he had a unfortunate accident. Allegedly, he fell down the stairs and broke his neck.
You think that was a coincidence or?
He fell down the stairs. Who done it?
Fell down. Did nobody help him?
And broke his neck. I wasn't there here, so I can't say if he got a kind of
Sounds suspicious to me.
Why?
I can tell you, I had
having
early.
Look, let's just say this: he could have been having a heart attack while going down the stairs.
That's true.
And lost his balance.
That's very true. Anything could have happened.
But the first thing I thought was, could this be punishment for you slumbering with this woman all these years?
Well, one thing I know, God
you wonder about
not mocked. You cannot make a mockery of God and expect to kind of
you're mocking him most definitely. You sitting up in that pulpit and then you sitting her slumbering with this girl, and you're old enough to be her father too. That's just ratchet.
I had an early education about things going on behind the scenes at church. Very early education.
Okay.
There was a man in the church who was up for a position of leadership. And as a requirement of that leadership, you had to be the husband of one wife. Anybody listening can figure out what church I was raised in. But anyway, there were several things you had to be. You had to be, in charge of your own family and your household. You had to be, upstanding. Well, my daddy knew that this man was having an affair. And he went to the leadership of the church to stand up and say, he did this privately. He didn't do it in front of a whole crowd. He just went to the concerning parties to say what he knew. It wasn't a rumor. He knew it firsthand that he was, because the man had told him. And it ended up, it came back down hard on my dad, who was telling the truth. But the powers that be in the church didn't want that to be true. Couldn't believe that to be true. So, okay, so there's that. Later on, had a preacher who ran off with the church secretary.
Oh my!
So these things do
Not
happen.
the secretary. I'm dead.
I know. And if you saw either of them, you'd just think, "Oh my Lord!" His wife was gorgeous, and the secretary was a mouse.
But they always say that in the end, that's not why men cheat. Some of them.
Well, true. I don't.
It doesn't be about all the reasons.
It isn't. It can be something else entirely. However,
look, she listened to me.
Oh yeah, she sympathizes with my hard life. She knows the ministry is tough.
Yeah, she ain't heard with your version. She ain't heard the wife's version.
Right. Who is it? You remember that story here in Tennessee a few years back, where the woman, her husband was a preacher. It's over.
Connie, down in Middle Tennessee, and she was from Knoxville, and she shot him in the back, and he was into kinky sex and wanted to dress up in high heels. She got off. Shut your mouth. She got off.
Yeah.
She got off.
I saw her in public. It's been 3, 4, 5 years ago.
I was stunned that they got her off. I was stunned.
I know, but they, thank heaven, something.
Them secrets came out, and I think people, because this is the Bible Belt, people was like, we don't know this man, and we don't know if he was really mean to her, nasty to her, because if he's got her doing all this old kinky stuff, which a man has a right to ask his wife to dress up, even if he is the pastor, that is their personal business. But how do I know what else was going on? And I think that's what they thought, that once they started hearing her testimony and believed her, that she was distraught because of how he treated her mentally and physically, they thought, we don't know this pastor.
Right.
And they believed her, that she woke up on the morning and she decided to. I just think she should have left him.
Well, I couldn't agree more.
I think she should have left. She's lucky that she got off.
Yeah, she is fortunate that she was able to escape. But there could have been a lot of other. The church.
Let me tell you something.
Backed her.
Let me tell you something about that story. Somebody had stalked her after she was freed. She went to apply for a job somewhere, and somebody stalked her, found her where she was working, and called that school. It was a private school, and called that school and got her fired. This was many years ago.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Wow.
And I told you, that's the thing about people. People can find you anywhere. Somebody got wind of wherever she went to start her first job after that, and they called and they got her fired.
Right. She ended up with it's a person that I don't know well. I know of this person, but this person lived in Nashville and became really sympathetic to her story. And she went over and met her. They ended up together.
Well, and I'm going to speak about that too. People can do the most heinous of crimes, and there will always be somebody who will take up with them and date them, court them, bed them. You know what I mean?
I know. Yep. Yeah, just interesting. That story just doesn't have an ending yet.
Because most people could joke and say, hey, buddy, don't make her mad. She'll shoot you in your back.
Or you get the bobbit treatment.
Say what?
You get the bobbit treatment.
Hey, and she's probably then bedded somebody too. It's all the same.
Oh yeah. No doubt.
Make her mad and lose a wee. Shut up, Angela. Damn.
I know.
You talk about a leak. Look, you talk about a leak in this old building. My goodness gracious. What happened? Cut it off. I was cheating. I'm going to tell you something about that story. The fact that they were able, come on, Angela, to find his wee in the dark, because I believe it was nighttime when you threw it out the window.
Right. Yeah,
The
that was
fact that they can
amazing.
find your stuff, as they say in the street, your junk.
Yeah.
They found your junk on the side of the road.
Oh.
Honey, you should have kissed the person that picked it up. I'm dead,
Right.
Satan. Wow.
I'm not. Yeah. Yeah, not even really looking.
How you doing, honey? Because when I heard that story that they went out there hunting for his wee, you have to ask yourself, honey. All right, good night, Patty. The fact that somebody went out there hunting your wee, found it, brought it back. Because what you have to ask yourselves is, what was the timeline between you calling 911, ambulance getting there, rushing you to the hospital, telling them she cut it off. They go talk to her. Man, what did you do with the penis? This couldn't have been a 2-minute, 5-minute conversation.
No, it wasn't. It had to, at least an hour had to go by.
And that's my point. And then you have to be going to emergency service because you've got to be bleeding profusely. Right. Honey, when I tell you, God was on your side.
Yeah.
Somebody up there in heaven had called your name. What I said.
Man, for sure.
What you saying? That's the truth.
Yeah.
When we say heaven had your name, God had it on the scroll. He had it on the scroll, baby, because let me tell you something. Honey, that heifer could have done cut that thing off and beat you to death with a hammer, and you would have been out of luck.
That was it. Yeah, that was going to be it for you.
Outlaw.
She had the nerve to go do all of that. Why wouldn't she have had the nerve to go just walk out the door and say bye?
Yeah, it goes back to the same thing with whatever transpired that morning with that woman and her husband for her to shoot him in the back. No different than this situation.
No different.
He did or said whatever. Okay, I'm going to cut his penis off. People do crazy things at that time. It doesn't even have to be imminent danger at that time. Something clicks in their brain and they just go haywire. Hello, Smokey. How you doing? But I'm going to tell you this, and I don't know if you know this. He did a porn video after that.
No, I didn't hear anything about that.
Yes. And I'm going to tell you all, I did see it.
Oh, me. I got to know, and I don't want to know.
I did witness.
Oh, that sounds right.
Because one of my friends, he just happened to be a gay guy I went to high school with, and he was saying, have you seen the video? And I was like, no, I wasn't really looking for it. He says, well, I got to show it to you. And I was like, what? So I watched the video and I was looking and I just kept saying, okay. He says, look closer, you'll see the hump. And I was like, okay. And I was just,
Lord.
I didn't really care to watch it.
Jesus.
But I did watch. You could see a little bump in his private part where they reattached his PP, and I was just like, "Honey, you are fortunate."
Yes, well, and went on to have another career he never dreamed of before.
You know what? I'm dead. Now starring Mr. Bobbitt. Wow.
Yeah, and that introduced a term into our language about the Bobbitt treatment.
I can't.
Yeah, I can't either. Well, enough of that.
I don't want to know about it.
What about the money in the wall? Let's talk about the money.
I was going to listen. You done went all off the church. Now you okay? So we went from the gay pastor to the church to the money in the wall. Well, I was thinking about that while we were talking about that. What do you think happened?
I want to know what is on the other side of that wall. Is that the pastor's study where the safe is? And is there a picture hanging on the wall that's got a big hole behind it?
Wait a minute. Well, language, it must have worked for him to be in a porn video, honey.
I've got to be. Must have.
There's no way they're going to hire you and you can't get hard on. Excuse my language. But you know what? That's a good question. Was his office?
Yeah.
Hey, how about this? How about the pastor has his own private restroom?
Oh, on the other side of the wall. Yeah.
No, his own restroom in the office. Who's to say his office doesn't have a private restroom?
True.
Interesting. That's an interesting point.
I mean, I got to think to myself that $600,000 that went missing years back. Why would they hide money and then claim it was stolen, and then this money starts turning up in the walls of this building?
Well, see, that's the thing. You got to find out first who is the
Yeah.
person that hid the money, stole the money, hid it.
Whose
Are they
idea was
still in the
this?
church?
Right.
Did they fire some people who they thought could be responsible?
Right.
And if they fire them, that means they're naturally not getting ready to tell you that they hid the money, took the money. So then the money's been sitting there the whole time until this plumber comes along to do work on the wall.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So you had a lot of different questions when you aired that, and I didn't pick it up, didn't get to listen to it until afterward. But
okay.
all there's 1,000 questions that could be asked.
Well, it's because it's a baffling story. Because nobody was apprehended. So now you got to think. Somebody you had in charge of the money stole that money, hid it in the wall. Who are those said people? Because this, as somebody said, a multi-level crime. Somebody who was in charge of the money knew a plumber or somebody who could go in the wall and hide it. Because you're just not going to just be able to just go in a wall and hide it. And then we've got to ask ourselves, what type of wall are we talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Was it the bathroom being worked on at the time when the theft occurred? Or like somebody said, is it just a portion of I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
this is the way my mind works, and because I'm crazy. But so somebody thinks it's time to get the money out of the wall. And I think I'm going to have to tell the people in charge of maintenance around here that they need to hire this particular plumber to come and do the job and open that wall.
But let's be truthful. That's too long of a time, 7 years, to sit on money.
Well, I know somebody that's done some time over. I know you heard about the Jackie Stanfield case there in Knoxville. Took all that money for those people, $9 million from people, and they sent her to prison for 7 years, and she's out now.
Okay. Was this a few years ago?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Was it like a Ponzi scheme?
Yeah.
I think I know what you're talking about.
She took people's life savings, everything. I know we're going kind of far afield here, but
we way out. We done went to Toledo, Ohio.
We have. I'll bring it back in.
We done left the gay pastor to stolen money.
To missing penises. So
but Satan sitting over here saying with his legs crossed, and I don't mind if you talk about my old sinners.
Right.
Lord,
I've lost the thread now. People just will do. We know that she took a bunch of friends of mine to the French Riviera. And girl, they had their own yacht. The food was catered. She had Coors beer from the United States.
She was just greedy.
And those people
she wanted the good life.
She's got our money, and she is making us a fabulous.
I want the good life too, honey. I want to travel to seas and go places and fly on airplanes and go to hotels and resorts and spas and all that. But guess what? I don't want to go to jail.
Yeah, but guess what? Those people had no idea until later.
Well, you don't never know for that. Start asking.
It was their money.
It's only a problem when you wanting your returns and you're asking, and that's where the problem starts. When I start asking about the returns, and you keep putting me off, and then that's what I'm going to put two and two together. Okay, you don't have anything pertaining to my money.
Yeah. So people can wait a long time. We know that we're going to watch and see if she flies to Switzerland.
Oh, Lord.
Because when they were on the Riviera, there was one day that Jackie left the group and others said, "Oh, I'll go with you." No, I've just got a little business to attend to. I'll be back later. That she had time to fly there.
How do you know all of this? Who done it? How do you know all of this?
Because she ripped up. A couple of my really good friends were part of the people she ripped off.
Okay. Because you are a neighboring state.
Yeah. Lord, well, I live just out of Cookville over on Center Hill Lake. So
you out of Cookville? I don't know why. I'm thinking somebody else from North Carolina.
Right. Yeah. I lived in Nashville for years and years and just moved over here the last couple of years. But
now what made you move to Cookville, ma'am?
Because there are 4 of us who went in on a lake house over here. And so it looked like a good thing to do is to move here. Get away from the city.
So it's 4 of y'all living in the house?
Huh?
It's 4 of y'all living in the house?
4 of us live here. Yes. Yeah. We've all got our own quarters.
Oh,
It's
wow.
it's nice. But
I get that.
so yeah, it's a good life. I'm retired. Don't
Okay.
have to be anywhere in particular.
Ain't that a joy?
I thank God for it. I thank God absolutely for it.
So you say I can get up when I want to.
Yes, yes. I'm I had this is far more than I deserve. I can tell you that. Far more
Amen.
than I
Amen.
deserve.
I understand.
I've just been blessed.
Okay.
Um, so anyway, we know we're going to watch Jackie and see if she flies to Switzerland to get some of that
Okay.
money back. And that brings me back to the church. People will wait. They will wait and
Yeah.
wait and
That's a
wait.
long time though for me to sit and wait
Oh well, me too.
on the money because, like somebody said, the person could have died.
Yeah, I
Uh,
need the money now.
they could have fired the person. Then
Yeah,
actually the person never told them where the money is.
yeah.
So I'm going to ask you this to go back to what we were talking about.
Okay, yeah.
Do
Sorry,
you
I didn't.
condone a man sleeping with a man and he's of the cloth?
Do I know one who is of the cloth? No,
I
no,
said, do you
not
condone
not personally.
a gay
No, I don't.
pastor? I said, do you condone a gay
Oh,
pastor?
do I condone a gay pastor? As long as he is, if he tells who he is, reveals his lifestyle, and people wish to continue to follow him, I don't have any problem with that. My mother used to say, "Every tub rests on its own bottom." What
Oh,
business of
okay.
that is, you know, it's not. Now, listen, me personally, I
That's what
might
I'm
have,
asking.
I might go on, I might think I need to journey elsewhere, but I
Okay.
wouldn't do so in a condemning way or in an unkind way.
Well, if you leave
And
the church,
that's,
it
yeah,
ain't gonna matter. Somebody go feel like, well, you judged him and you left the church. But my thing is, how can I listen to the word if the pastor is sleeping with the man? I don't see how I could be listening to what he's saying and believe what he's saying. He
well,
can't lead me nowhere. You can't lead me to the water. That's just how I feel.
I understand. I understand your meaning completely. I personally might have a problem with that
Yeah.
because the word is the word, and I can't change that. I can't. I'm
Right.
not going to
Word is his word. Now who's
apologize
supposed
for
to live in the
something
word?
God said. I'm
Uh-huh.
not. Now I know the word has been used. It's been weaponized, and it's been,
Uh-huh.
it's been made to beat people over the head with
Yes, it
and make
has.
them
Yes,
feel
it
unworthy
has.
and
Crutch. The
guilty.
crutch
Yeah,
is what it's been. As
it's
I call
been.
it, pimping Jesus.
Yeah, the word was fine until man got hold of it.
Amen. Amen.
um, and so, but I can't. We're in an area here where I'm not fully clear. I mean, I'm clear on what I believe, but I wouldn't want to hurt somebody's feelings for the world. And that's kind of,
Really?
uh,
So
yeah.
what
And
you
I know,
saying?
and I
You
need
still
to,
go to church knowing the pastor gay?
if I couldn't do it, not me, not me,
So you wouldn't go to
because
church?
if they're going to
I'm confused.
deny,
You would or you wouldn't? Who done it?
I'd have to pass. I'd have to
Okay.
pass
Okay.
because if you deny something that the word says in one place,
You do it in another.
what will you do
Yeah.
with
What else
that
would you do?
same word
That's
in
my
another
point.
place?
And that's my
Yeah,
point. Where would it
yeah,
stop?
right. I'm
If
a
you're going to start
person.
picking sins that you're
Yeah,
going to abhor, then we have a problem.
yeah. I've got to. Here's where I stand on that. I'm a sinner. I need God's help every day of the
Amen.
world, and I
Amen.
need His grace, and I need His forgiveness. But
Okay.
and so here's where I stand on it, though. If you want to preach something as being right,
Mhm.
morally, spiritually,
Right.
then you can't be my leader. Now I
Right.
can love you. I can just love you to death. But in terms of spiritual guidance,
Hmm.
I would have to take a step back.
Yes. Well, I was reading his bio. He has children and he has
Mm-hmm.
a wife. He's had married
Yeah.
2 times. So what I want to know is what did the wife think of the allegations? Because obviously she didn't divorce him,
Mm.
to my knowledge. So why would a wife sit around and stay with her husband knowing he is gay? And then we have to ask ourselves, were there signs of him messing around with men? And she just turned a blind eye.
Yeah, those are. I'd have to know the answers to those questions for sure. Um, it. Did she? Could she have? Did she have her own means of making money, making a living?
Well, I don't know. I don't
Is
know
that a
her.
known
I don't
thing?
know her bio. I don't know her
If
bio.
she was financially dependent upon him, she might have a motive to turn a blind eye, and or they may have an arrangement. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, I'm not getting ready to have an arrangement with a man sleeping with a man.
Your arrangement is
You don't have
I'm
to
out of
be
here.
a preacher. It doesn't
Right,
matter.
I get that.
He's a preacher. He's rich.
Yeah.
I'm not getting ready to accept my man sleeping with a man. And I know
Um,
there's women who've done it in relationships. They knew that the man was gay, bisexual, whatever word you want to use. They continue to date them, sleep with them. I personally, I'm not getting ready to stay with you knowing that you desire men. I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah. It's a tough subject for a whole lot of people, a whole lot of people. And I sympathize with that. I have gay friends who struggle with their identity. I have gay friends who don't struggle at all with their identity.
Well, I don't understand is that we're in a modern time, though. The times are different than a long time ago when we had such expectations of people, men and women marrying, having families. Now we live in a more diverse community. People are a little more open to diversity in people's lifestyles. So why hide? I don't understand the point of hiding in a modern time. That's just
I couldn't agree with you more. People, say who you are, say what you do. Don't try to present to me something that you're not.
Yeah, I just can't see right now somebody sitting to themselves saying, "I'm afraid to come out." Why? There's people coming out every day, so why are you? And some people may think I'm being mean, but I don't get it. I just in this day and time, I can't see hiding who I am. You know, why not just come on out? And just like this man said in the commentary that I played of the audio, he made a very valid point that there are still some men who do not acknowledge that sleeping with a man is wrong. They feel like I like women, I desire women, but I also desire men. You can't tell me you desire a man and you are not gay or bisexual or bisexual. Let's say bisexual. You can't sit here and tell me that you are heterosexual and you desire a man. It does not matter that you only want to penetrate him or he does the other, population or whatever. The fact that you want to be intimate with the man, and that's another thing I've heard. Well, I'm only penetrating him, it ain't nothing. Well, it is something. That makes no logical sense to even say that. What would even make you desire? Think about this now, which is common sense. This is toddler conversation. I mean, a toddler could decipher this if it wasn't such a heinous situation. You are desiring a man. What would make you get up out your slumber, your day, and say, I want to penetrate a man, but I'm not bisexual? That makes no logical sense. You have thought about a man. You have been attracted to a man. You are attracted to a man. If you desire touching him in any fashion, that is kissing, fondling, oral sex, penetration, top, bottom, it's all the same. Because a lot of black men believe if I only penetrate him, I'm not gay. He can't do me, but I'll do him. What the hell are you saying?
Yeah, that's splitting hairs right there. Yeah.
Well, but see, that's what that man was saying. It's the ideology. I can penetrate him, but I'm not gay, bisexual. Yes, you are. You're desiring a man. Yeah. Why would you want to penetrate a man? That makes no logical sense that you would wake up and say, I want to put my penis back there of a man, but I don't like him now.
Yeah,
I'm attracted to him.
That's somebody in denial, I'd say.
And that's why we have such sick rates of HIV, AIDS in our community. Men going to penitentiary, they succumb to the madness, worse attracted, not attracted, however it went down. Now you're coming out, going back with a woman, and yet you're still desiring a man. And then you're doing it on the down low.
Yeah.
Meeting and greeting with homosexual men, having sex with them, and then laying up with a woman. I have a problem with that.
I can see that you do.
Oh, can you?
Yeah. I can.
Yeah, because that's not fair to the woman. That's not fair to the woman that you're going to be laying with a man and then steady saying, no, I ain't gay, I ain't bisexual. And then you're bashing gay people and homosexual, but you ain't telling the truth that you lay up with men.
I agree with you. I take your point.
Yeah, you don't have a right to be bashing somebody, but then you laying with them. Then what you mean? You need to own your truth. Own your truth. Say you desire men. You're attracted to men. You want to be with a man and a woman.
If that's your choice, be who you are. If that's your choice.
But a lot of men are still hiding that, and I have a problem with that. And that's why we have venereal diseases at a high rate, HIV and AIDS at a high rate in the Black community, because these men are still sneaking around with men and don't want to own that they desire men, that they are attracted to men.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's only going to get worse.
And 'twas ever thus. It's been this way since the beginning of time.
At the beginning of time, exactly.
Yeah, it's
exactly.
And for I don't know how it. We supposedly live in the age of enlightenment.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody once said it feels more like the age of endarkenment. But
it's the world is very,
goes.
The world is very dark.
Yeah, anything goes, and we're God unto ourselves, and it would appear we just make up the rules as we go along. Like he said, that's all I wanted to do, but I'm not gay. Oh, really? Well, okay, that's a new definition right there.
Right.
But I go back to the point of be who you are, be real, be out there. And if you don't want to be out there, and it's nobody's business, but if you're trying to lead a congregation, you owe it to the people that you're trying to spiritually guide to let them know where you stand spiritually, where you say, I see this as right. I don't find any problem with this lifestyle. That's you just have to state who you are, what you are.
Mm-hmm.
And let people make up their own mind. Don't be pretending out there.
Yeah.
It's just that doesn't work in any situation.
Well, you do have some churches who, and probably more of a Catholic faith, where the priests are openly gay, and there are some people who are accepting of that. But I don't see how you can be accepting of that if you believe in the Bible and the Word. I don't see how you would find that acceptable.
Yeah, it's tricky, really tricky.
Because this time you're picking and choosing what in the Bible that is not condoned by God. So that doesn't make any sense.
Well, we're supposed to deal with whatever is whatever we're worshiping above the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever we're saying that doesn't honor him, or doing that doesn't honor him,
yes.
We're supposed to work on that.
Yes.
And get better at it, get more devoted, draw in closer. And while I fail miserably at that all the time, and I want to make that very clear, because I do not hold myself above other people, and I don't care who they are, or what they are, or what they follow. This is just me on my journey, making my decisions, and hopefully choosing a godly path for myself. But boy, I slip and slide like it's butter sometime. But I my God comes and gets me when I've gotten a little too far off track.
Yes, because let's just say you are openly gay, a pastor, priest, whatever, rabbi. How are you going to preach on fornication and all that if you are openly gay?
Right. That opens up so many other subjects.
Yes.
That, like, and terminology, fornication.
Yes.
That's the sexual act outside the bonds of marriage.
Yes.
And so it gets complicated if you start to twist that up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I know Barack Obama, before he became president, openly said he believed that marriage was between a man and a woman. And later on, he said he had evolved and he had changed his view about that. Well, that's his
because I found an article on Google where people were very upset. Some people were upset with him condoning the start of gay marriage.
Right. So that was if they can be married, then the marriage bed is undefiled in God's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's maybe, I don't know. It gets twisted and deep when you start messing around and changing definitions.
About gay marriage, you went a whole nother ram up,
right? And changing laws and those kinds of things. That's the law is one thing. The law of man, the laws of man. Whenever they line up with the laws of God, a country does well.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever the laws of man start to get in conflict with the laws of God, that's when trouble is going to find that country.
Yes.
Blessed are the people whose God is the Lord.
Okay.
So, a whole lot of messing around with things these days. I find it disturbing. And I know these words that I'm saying are going off into some ears out there that I pray I have not offended, not the first person.
I don't think you've offended anybody. There's nothing to be offended by.
Huh?
It's nothing to be offended by if you believe in what the scripture says. What is there to be offended by?
Well, because
you only offended if you're wanting to do that and live that life and still rock with the Bible. So
that's
pick and choose what you want to take out the Bible. Yeah. It doesn't work like that. It has never worked like that. We as people and man have done it. Woman, pick what we want to say is a sin, this and that. And like the pastor said, and the man said in this commentary too, the Bible doesn't speak verbatim, windedly rather, of homosexuality like it does other sins, but it's been spoken about in the Bible. It's just not been beaten down.
Yes.
Browbeaten.
It's pretty clear. It's pretty clear. God's view of it.
Yeah.
He makes himself and his thoughts about that extremely clear. But look, he makes his thoughts very clear about lying, stealing, killing, adultery. He makes it's not hard to understand.
He doesn't have to talk about it in every scripture, but he's let it be known that I don't condone this behavior.
Right. So if I am a known thief, and I get up in the pulpit and try to be the leader and tell people don't steal while I'm stealing.
Stealing, yes, exactly.
It's easier to understand the parallel. There's a parallel there that you can draw and say, well, how does that work for sexuality? Well, it works the same way.
Right. Yeah, because my pastor said that. He said the scripture doesn't speak of homosexuality often, but I'm going to say that for me, I don't want a gay pastor, gay man speaking in my pulpit. That's what he said. And that's his opinion. Doesn't want you being a pastor of the cloth and being homosexual, speaking the word in his pulpit. That's what he said. I will not condone that.
Yeah. Well, leadership. You got a lot of answers. It's like the scripture talks about those who have been teachers are going to be held accountable for what they have taught and how they have taught it and the example they have set beside what they have been teaching. It's if you want to lead people, you have got to step up your game.
Yes.
Yeah. You're going to be held to a higher standard because you're trying to say, hey, I know the way.
Yes.
I'm holding the flashlight. Follow me.
Yes.
Well, you better be dadgum sure of where you're going before you want to attract a whole bunch of people behind you, because your next step may be over a cliff.
My goodness. Shut your mouth.
Ooh, preach.
Yeah, you're preaching. Go ahead,
I'm preaching.
Yes, I'm one right now. My goodness.
I'm just your humble understudy queen.
That's okay. That's okay.
Can't nobody tell it like you can. You can slice and dice with the
honey. Let me tell you. Look, after last night, oh my goodness, I should have been at the Lord's house this morning.
I saw your late night thing, and I saw where you are cleaning and editing and deleting. And I thought, man, that's the truth. I thought about some people in my own life.
Oh, yeah. I said on that ride home, it had been a thought in my mind for the past few days. And when I got home, I knew what I was going to do. And I did what I said I was going to do. And I'm scot-free and debt-free. And I'm content with the decisions that I made in the wee hours this morning.
Well, I'm glad that you did. Isn't it funny the clarity you can get late at night?
Oh yeah, and that's the best time to think is at night.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
there's nothing going on, whether you're in your house or you on a road driving. I had the open highway to think of everything that I was going to do when I set foot in this house. And when I got up in here, I did everything I said I was going to do, and I have not looked back, and I have no regret of everything that I removed from the scroll. I'm done.
I was thinking while I was listening to that, because you've recently turned 50. You've made no secret of that.
So I'll be 50. I'll be 51 next month.
Next month, okay. As I recall, and I'm a few years older than you, but by 50, you have been screwed enough, stabbed enough,
Oh, yes.
betrayed enough,
Ooh,
denied
say that.
enough that it
Yes.
suddenly becomes clear to you.
Mm-hmm.
I've been letting this happen to myself.
Yes, I
I've
did.
been living my
Yes,
life with
I
my
did.
gate open,
Yes,
and
I
all
did.
this
Ooh,
stuff
amen. Now
come up in
you
here.
talking now, honey. Now you
Right.
preaching when you said I left the gate open and I own all of that. I
Right.
willingly opened the
Mhm.
gate and let
Yes.
you in. You didn't
Yeah.
crawl in. I let you come in. And even
Right.
when I saw your feet was muddy, I
Uh-huh.
still let you trample in my damn house. But
That's
guess
right.
what? I decided to get your ass out my house with your muddy boots and
Right.
all.
Right.
And the gate is now closed.
Right.
You
Exactly.
can't come back
We
in.
all have to edit in
You
our
can't
life.
come
You
back
got to
in.
look around at the people who are sucking you
You
dry,
can't come back
because
in.
people will
I'm
definitely do
done.
it. And they will take advantage of you, lie to you, use you, abuse you. It's by the time you're 50, the light bulb goes on. It says,
Well, because the sick part about it is when you look at your life, whether you are 20 or you're 50, you've wasted time with foolishness and you can't
right.
get that time back. So the time that you've engaged in foolishness, chasing people,
Mm-hmm.
taking people back in, putting up with nasty attitudes and
Yeah.
commentary and whatever it is that you're going through, that's
Yeah.
time that you could have been doing something more fruitful with your life.
Right.
And
And
that's the
these
thing people
people have
don't
stolen your
understand.
time. Yeah. The people have stolen your
They're
time.
stealing your time. And
And
yes,
now
and
you're
you've
not going to let
allowed
them do
them.
it.
And
Yeah.
you've allowed them to do it.
Yes,
So you have
you
to
have
own your
given them.
part in allowing them to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Even when we're complaining and moaning and why he wanting this, why she won't do it, and I don't know what to do. And yes, you do. You just ain't done it yet.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
I've done it and I'm done.
Well, there you go. And from now on, people are going to have to pass a bit of a higher test with you
Amen.
before you let
Yeah.
them
And
in.
that's where the work in progress come. It's not falling back in the crack of allowing people to do the same things that Petey Pablo did 5 days ago, 2 years ago, 1 month
Right.
ago, because it's
Right.
easy to fall back in that trap of, damn, I'm in the same situation I was in 4 or 5 months ago. And you're asking yourself, how in the hell am I back in this same place? And it's a different person.
Well, if we're not careful, our inside yard can just look like the Wells chalet up there.
Uh-huh.
And the inside of our spiritual house can start to look like the inside of that house. Stuff everywhere, thrown
Yeah, and
everywhere.
that's how I feel. And that's how I feel like
Yeah.
how I was here recently. Like
Yeah.
everything keeps coming around to fruition. It's the same bullshit, but a different person. They're mimicking
Correct.
the last person. I mean, my
Yes.
right hand of God, I can speak on that. Each person mimicked the last one. They're different faces, different heights, different weights, different walks of life, different mom and daddies, but they're walking in the same damn shoes. It's like one took off the shoe, he handed it to this fool over here, then he went the damn shoe and came on and knocked on the door. It's like, my God, do you people know each other?
Yeah.
Are you cousins? Make me
You
understand
handed my number out.
what is going on. I mean, I was starting to see similarities as far as their upbringing, their conversation, their wordings. They often were the same. And I said, Jesus, help me. I'm drowning. This is too thick for me.
Right.
I can't deal with it anymore. And I ain't going to deal with it.
No, because it the Bible talks about vexation of spirit. It vexes your spirit. It messes your spirit up.
It does.
It keeps it starts blocking that channel that where you get your intuitions, where you get your gut feelings and what the spirit's starting to tell you. It starts to block those channels, and see, you just had to wake up in yourself and said, this is not my path. This is not my journey.
It's just everything I've been dealing with recently is just repetitive.
Yeah.
It's just a vicious circle. One jump off, then another one takes his place and jumps in and does the same thing the last one did verbatim. And I told myself, how in the world could this be happening to me? Why do you keep attracting these same type of people that are acting the same, talking the same, just foolishness? I don't want no more parts of it. You know, one day you're cool with this one, then they fall off, then they jump back in, then they're acting like they're your friend and this and that. I told myself, I'm out. I ain't worried about you. I'm not concerned about what you got going on. I'm not getting ready to go hunt you down. I ain't getting ready to go look for you. Right. I'm done. I've got too much living to do to be chasing people around for courtship, friendship, camaraderie. I don't need you.
Yeah.
Because this sometimes fly-by-night shit, I'm too old for it.
Right. You want something that doesn't look like that. So now that you've made this huge decision, you have turned your mind here on this thing. Those kind of people are going to start avoiding you.
They got to avoid me because let me make this clear.
They need to.
But listen to what I'm saying to you. I have made it to where you cannot
get
contact me.
Then you've done the best thing you could ever do for yourself. You have cleaned house.
You cannot. If you contact me, you are finding an alternate avenue to attempt to contact me.
How come you think I'm practically a recluse living up here in the country up on a hill?
I don't know.
Overlooking a lake.
You're going to tell me?
Well, because I've had enough of that stuff in the city. I lived in Nashville most of my adult life. Okay. And the stuff that I encountered there and the heartbreak that I had there and people coming and going, doing the same kind of stuff you're talking about.
Okay.
I had it. I just had it and thought, I am better off to be single and live in the woods.
Wow. And that's
now, I mean, I have housemates, but they know me.
They know to some degree. You know what I'm saying? Because I know a lot of people like living like that for various reasons, but I don't want to be ducked off to where I'm like away from everything that's going on. You know what I'm saying?
Let me put it a different way. I have edited my friendships down to a very limited, very intimate group of people.
Okay.
And I love them and I trust them. They have passed every test, checked every box with me. If you want to be my friend, then you be a friend to me and I'll be a great friend to you.
Amen.
But it's got to be balanced. You can't be that like you talked about, unequally yoked. It ain't going to be me doing all the giving here. Well, I have people in my life who I have come to say, these are keepers. This is who I'm keeping. Mm-hmm. And I don't live a lonely life. Don't misunderstand me.
Okay.
I have removed myself from the chaos.
Okay.
That the other kind of city dwelling created.
Yeah, I know, because it is chaotic in the inner city. I do understand.
Yeah, it is. And
because all day it's something. It's all day.
You don't have a chance to get to know people very well because everybody wants to move real fast.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. On the take.
Not a lot of questions asked. Just let's get with it. Let's do it.
And that's it. That's why, and that's how we make our mistakes with people. We move too fast and letting them in our inner circle.
Yes.
Feeling personal things to them, which I brought that information on the date site video I made the other day. And before you know it, you've told too much, you revealed too much, you're doing too much, and now you're in a deep hole. You're in the abyss.
Yeah, and now they know a whole lot more about you than you know about them.
You have to be careful.
Able to take advantage of you because of what they know.
Because of what they know, exactly.
Yeah. So I just, like I said, I'm a few years older than you, and I just reached my point in my 50s to say, I've done this. I'm responsible for the rest of my life.
Exactly.
And so I'm going to be more discerning about people.
It's more.
I used to give trust away. I don't give trust away anymore. I don't do it.
Yeah, because as you get older, it's actually just unfair to yourself. Because you can't time back, especially if you've had a tumultuous life and you've lived 50, you've wasted an entire life.
Yes.
Bullshit and bullshit people and circumstances and moaning and wailing and flailing around. And you're like, you can't get that time back. And that's the sick part of the story is that you can't get the time back. And then you now got to try to regroup and stay afloat and enjoy what's left of a life that you don't have no certainty how long it's going to be. Because at the age of 50, you really don't know how much more time you're going to have above the ground. So if you have a really jacked up life at 50, you've really cheated yourself in being in drama Because
Right.
there's people who've had tumultuous lives where they're always in stuff, always got stuff going on. And sometimes I look at myself like, why am I always around people that's always got stuff going on? It's always something. Even if you're minding your business, staying to yourself, you don't bother them. They are in your peripheral causing strife and problems. So it's like, how do I get these people out of the way? You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
You can't just make certain situations go away, especially perfect example is like apartment living. You can't just up and move every 5 minutes because shit's not going your way. You don't like your neighbors. You understand what I'm saying?
You're right.
And that people don't understand apartment living can suck you dry.
Yes, it can.
You
Everybody
can
be
get caught up in that. Even being in a house, you get the wrong neighbors as in a neighborhood. But apartment living is worse.
Yes, you're right about that.
You can't just
you're exposed to too many people nearby.
You can't
right up in your face. Yeah, above your eyes.
All the time, always something, cussing, fussing, hollering, talking to dogs and cats and monkeys and moaning and groaning and arguing with Pookie, Ray, Bubba, waking up, hollering, screaming, and you're like, damn, it's not even 7 a.m. Why is your mouth moving?
Yeah, exactly. Please, I have not had my coffee.
You don't understand what I'm saying?
With me.
Yes.
Oh, I do know.
Will you please go drink some coffee before talking? Get a bagel first before speaking.
Did you notice my door was shut?
Right.
Come knocking.
Exactly. Door. Hey, the birds ain't up yet. Why are you up? You know, damn, let the first bird chirp first before you start. You know, I know somebody like that now. Cannot be quiet.
Yes.
From the time she opens her door, her mouth is moving. I've never seen anything like it. It's like, when do you shut up?
I've noticed people like that, and that I find that just so annoying.
Just loud. She's loud as soon as she opens her door. Cussing and fussing and screaming and talking, and her company comes, she's yelling at them. They open the car door, she's yelling at them. They shut the car door, she's yelling at them. They come up the steps, she's yelling at them. She comes out the door, she's yelling at them. She comes down the stairs, she's yelling at them. She walks to the car, she's yelling at them. She's sitting in the car, she's yelling. It's like, why don't you get a earbud,
a cork,
and text these people? I am now coming down the stairs. I am now approaching the car.
Oh, for heaven's sake!
She likes attention. She's an attention whore.
Yes, exactly.
Just like that trash up there in Hollerville. She's identical to them. Always on the microphone, hollering from the time she gets up to the time she goes to bed. I have never seen a person that their mouth is open from the time they step out their front door.
You're right. That's attention seeking. And isn't it funny? People who are like that. Oh, look at me. Oh, listen to me. Oh, hear me. Oh, see me. You know what? I think they do that because they can't see themselves. They don't think. I
haven't seen nothing like it. This girl won't shut up. It doesn't even matter. It could be midnight. As soon as she parks the car, her mouth is screaming.
That sounds like a disorder of some
kind. And I'm just
that would drive me crazy.
Jesus Christ, what is wrong with you? Shut up.
Right.
You got to let everybody know you woke up. I'm awake, everybody. Yes. I'm alive. Look at me.
You talk about Don Wells now.
Yeah, she is. He's probably her daddy.
He can't shut.
Oh, I'll be so glad.
Could be a
Put her ass out of here.
Oh, Lord.
You know, I'm going to be truthful with you. Who puts up a Christmas tree and they're being evicted? Please break it down for me.
Somebody that doesn't have a whole lot of foresight and doesn't have the gift of anticipation.
You were supposed to be out of here November, the middle of November, and yet you are putting, you got Christmas tree, lights blinking, like, oh, I'm not leaving here. Well, let me tell you something, Queen. You can come up out of here one way or the other, and you're going to come out of here by way of the sheriff. So you just keep toting shit up in that damn place, crawling that shit up there to the top floor. You about to get an eye-opening surprise, because as quick as you took all that stuff in there, somebody's getting ready to now haul all that stuff back down the stairs.
It's going over the rail into the parking lot.
Oh, my God.
For sure. Oh, Lord. That'd be a Christmas mess.
I just was telling myself, this chick is sick, and this guy who's latched on to her, he was bringing stuff in yesterday. I was just sitting there looking like, where are they going with all this stuff? And I was just like, you are in denial if you think they're not getting ready to put this chick out of here.
Yeah.
And you're going to be homeless with her.
You just have to wonder about what people are thinking. To just lack some kind of self-awareness, lack an awareness of don't have any common
I mean, it's no
sense.
confidence,
Just
no
don't get it.
self-love, very insecure.
Yeah.
And the people who she latches on with, they're just as insecure and blind as she is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like somebody need to be knocking on your noggin and saying, hey, open the door. You got to get out of here, homegirl.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to let you stay.
It reminds me of some parties I've been to where everybody's talking, but nobody's listening. I just stand back and watch that and just wonder. It's like nobody's listening, but everybody's
talking at the same time.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a wonderment to me.
That's a perfect example. That's a perfect example because I've just been here lately. I mean, I came in yesterday. I went to the store and I came in and I was just looking at this guy, whoever he is, dating or whatever. And I was just looking at him like, you must be really, you know the word I'm gonna use, PU something whipped.
Yes, gotcha.
That this girl is evicted from here and you're steady hauling stuff in like they're not going to put her out of here.
Keeps on moving in. Well,
I mean, that's using your truck as a hauler to haul junk, trash.
Yeah.
I'm stunned, like, and it's a disgrace because we live in a really beautiful neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just saying to myself, where did this gator trash come from?
You know, I don't care what neighborhood you live in. There's always one. Have you ever noticed that? Doesn't matter where you live. There's always one. Yeah. Turn it into, Shantyville.
It's just like, I just shake my head because the other neighbors in the neighborhood, they're very friendly. A lot of people have animals, so they walk their dogs up and down the street. And it's a really, really historical area. And I just sit here and shake my head like, how in the world? Because it's a mixed neighborhood. It's like, where did this gator trash come from? Why would anyone allow these people to have a key?
Yeah. What story did they tell to get in there?
Well, the thing is, it's under new ownership now. So hopefully it will be a clearing.
Oh, I hope so.
Oh, I know it's going to be like that because I've witnessed the person that comes that's management and they're very professional. And so I told myself, you all are about to get an eye-opening surprise. You're doing all the stupid stuff you're doing. All they're going to do is take note of all of that stuff you're doing, how you're living in your apartment, whatever. Your ass is going to be out of here. There won't be nobody in here. Because what they're going to do, they're going to jack up the rent. Refurbish the place. Exactly. Because it's got to fit the profile of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
They've got to fit the profile. And in this area where I am is, it's more money driven.
Right.
The people, it's a money driven area. So your ass is not going to be here.
No. Raising that rent is the way it happens.
Oh, they're going to do it because, like I said, it's a historical area.
Yeah.
It's near a college. So they've got to fit the bill. You won't be here.
Yeah.
You won't be here. And it's just the way it is. I already know what's going to happen. It's going to be a 360. Because I've already talked. The maintenance man that came here the other day because I was my hot water wasn't as hot in my shower, and so one of the guys that came here to work, we were talking about a situation that had something that's arose here recently, and he said, "Oh, don't worry about any of this, honey." He said, "Oh, it's a few of them that's coming out of here."
Oh, okay. Well, they're gonna clean. They're cleaning house too. Well, good. It's happening around you. Well, good. I want you to live in peace.
Yeah, because the fact that
we all deserve to live in peace.
The fact that the lady who's the manager, the fact that she's come back to the property to do some type of inspection told me they obviously are on some people because you have no reason to be coming back doing that.
Yeah. Right.
And she didn't come to my abode. So what does that tell you?
Well, of course. Well, I hate that is going on, but it sounds like it ain't going to go on for long. So you'll be.
Oh no! I've already said it. I've already said. When you get new people in, all they're going to do is just buy at the time when everybody's lease is up. What they're going to do is weigh how you've been living, and then that's the reason to get your ass out. First thing they'll say is, "Well, I'm not
going to renew."
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. That's the way it goes. Queen, I've enjoyed talking to you. I always do. And
Thank you.
I can tell my phone the battery is fixing to go. So I
Well,
don't
go
want
now.
to
I'm
be.
going to leave. Thank you so much for joining me, dear.
Yeah, enjoyed it. I'll talk
Okay.
to you later.
Bye-bye. All right. That's who done it. From Tennessee. I want to thank you all for joining me. If you want to donate to the channel, $ begins you 129 Cash App. This has been a very interesting live. It took a little while for it to get the jump off. But anyway, thank you all for coming in. The mods on deck. This commentary is pertaining to pastors who are living on the down low. I brought you commentary, said sources. Please refer back to the beginning of the video for the said sources. We live in an area, a time, where most people feel free to be who they are, who they want to be. And I think that if you are somebody, a man especially, that wants to go into the faith of being a pastor, preacher, bishop, whatever word you want to use it, you should be your true, authentic self, and you should stand account for that. Stand account for your ways, because you can't lead a flock if you are tainted. And that's just how I feel. And it doesn't matter what the vice is, the sin is. You can't lead me to something when you have issues yourself. That's just common sense. And I do not condone any man standing in the cloth and secretly bedding a man. And I don't condone him if he was bedding a woman. It's wrong. Especially he's married. So with that being said, I brought you commentary pertaining to Eddie Long. He is a pastor that's no longer living. He died of cancer, and he had allegations against him for messing with some young men in the church, young boys, and they settled a settlement. He wasn't allowed to speak of it, nor were they. And a book was written, allegedly supposed to be fiction. I've not read the book, so I can't give you the commentary about the said book and what's in it. But nonetheless, I can see why they would say it would be fiction, because they have vowed not to ever speak of any situations with the pastor by signing the settlement. Once again, I find it a guilt issue with the pastor in signing a settlement. There's no way I'm going to say, I adamantly did not do this or that, but then I give you money. If I believe I didn't do something, why would I pay you? There's no logical reason to pay someone for allegations that they've brought forth against me if I indeed did not commit those said allegations against those said people. I would gladly take it to court and let the 12 members give me my fate. And if I believe I've done right and not these atrocious acts that I've been accused of, I can stand tall and firm in a court of law and bring forth information and evidence to prove my case and my innocence. But that did not happen. Nor did he ever get brought up on said charges, to my knowledge, Mr. Eddie Long. Very baffling information. And I'm sure there are some men, black men, who are pastors in said churches who are desiring men and still sleeping with men. As I said, I do not condone this behavior. And it will continue, as Whodunit has said. It's been going on since the beginning of time. Why would it stop? Because we are first of the flesh. Whether we are black, white, tall, short, fat, gay, bisexual, whichsoever, we are human. Hello, Joel. But I do not condone any man or woman being on the cloth and slumbering with the same sex and then preaching from the Bible. You can't lead me. And that's just how I feel. You can't lead me, and you can't lead the flock. It can't be done. Now, many people will aid the pastor, bishop, preacher, because they like them. They believe in them. They don't want to believe the acts that have been brought forth by people and allegations. And people will still uphold them, even when there has been evidence, solid evidence that the person has done these acts. They still will support them, aid them. But there comes a time when you have to walk away from blind loyalty and accept the fact that the person that you've been following is indeed a fraud, indeed a sinner, fornicator, whichsoever. You have to say, I've been following someone and I've been misled by them. See, the scripture tells you not to put your faith in man. God told us that you will surely be disappointed if you do believe in God. And this is why you can't put your faith in people. Now, naturally, we are human, so we do put our faith in people. We're hoping for the best. We're hoping that they will do right by us. But it is known man will disappoint you because he too is flawed and of the flesh. So he will wrong you, stab you in the back, lie to you, sin, harm you. It's just the way of the world. So know that whomever you like, whomever you honor, whomever you put on a pedestal, know that he or she is of the flesh and that they will fall and they will make mistakes. They will sin because they are human. Because that's the point of being alive. You are a human being first before you are anybody. Pastor, bishop, rock star, athlete, short, tall, fat, this race, that race. You are a human before you are anything or anybody. Thank you all so much for joining me. I will be back later in the week with more commentary. Thank you so much for following the content, sharing the content. God bless all of you. Stay safe. And this is Everyday Shenanigans. Thank you. Have a great week.